Hello Ace family, today I'm going to talk to you about the longer LED bulbs as well as some fluorescents as well as some whole light fixtures and some specialty photocell sensors and whatnot. So just so we can better answer everyone's questions and make sure we can be as helpful as possible. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is something that's going to be not very relevant here soon. We've got this section of the new planogram that is for some of the older SKUs, the stuff that we're not going to carry in singles anymore. A lot of the market has moved to LEDs, and we've upgraded so many businesses and residential customers to LEDs in our area that there's not a lot left, but there still are a few customers that are burning through bulbs, so we've got to have them to take care of them. Just going to go real quick pointing out products. This is a clear polycarbonate, so with all the food safety, all of the food that is around here, specifically potatoes, a lot of bulbs will go inside this, and this is just a plastic shell to contain any bulb that might break by chance. So the next one's in the 8-foot bulbs. We have two different bases. There are single pin bases right here, and then the next base is, so the single pin is kind of a regular. The next one is considered, it's called an HO or high output, and it's just got a different base on it just to make sure you don't put the wrong bulb in the wrong spot. That's all what that's for. We can order a ton of these. There's quite a few customers that go ahead and do that. We have 6-foot bulbs. Those were T12s, by the way, that I showed you. We have 6-foot bulbs. We've got 8-foot T8s, and then we do have some really little T5s. So this might be beneficial. We've got to do it eventually, so we may as well do it now. On your left, so this one in my right hand here, this is a T12 bulb, and T12 is just referring to how big around it is, the diameter of it. The middle one that I have right here, this is a T8 bulb, and this is probably the most common bulb in our area. And then this really little one is for T5 fixtures, and the T5, so it's real good. T12 being the biggest number, biggest diameter, T8 being the middle, and then T5 being the smallest number, the smallest diameter. The T5 is not very popular because when the T5 started coming out, as you go smaller, they get more and more energy efficient, but the T5s never got to where they were super cheap compared to LEDs, so a lot of folks just went to upgrade to the LEDs instead of going from T8 to the T5 and then to LEDs. A lot of people went T8 and then they just upgraded to LEDs. So that being said, now we have 2 packs of the T12 and T8 bulbs right here, and they just go right in. When a customer is looking for bulbs, we have 2 options. We've got the standard fluorescent that they're used to using, and then they've got the LED version of it. And the LED version is, it's so much more energy efficient. It's great, and it lasts a lot longer. The color's a little bit more consistent. The fluorescents take a little bit of time to go ahead and warm up to achieve their full brightness and true color. But some people like the old way. I've had older folks say, I'll let the next guy worry about it, whoever has my house. So anyway, everyone's got their preference. The fluorescents are a little bit cheaper, but again, we're just here to get the customer what they need, not make the decision for them. So so we've got those fluorescents. Again, we've got we had the Kelvin from the first light bulb section, so we're going to have a warm white or cozy white or soft white right around that 3000 Kelvin, and then we're going to have a productive cool white daylight between the 4,000 and 5,000 Kelvin, just signifying that it's a brighter light. And a lot of customers will ask, well, which one, would you say? And it really just comes down to preference. We just have to do our best to explain the 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and then 6,000 Kelvin to them. Just, it gets more and more intense. Some people like that. Some people like the softness of it. So Now, the rest that we have right here is going to be LEDs, and LED bulbs, they can get complicated, and I love having this conversation with the customer because there's a lot of different ways to improve what they have, and lighting and painting are the two best ways to elevate a space, to improve it, to make it better. And Ace is huge in paint, and Ace is huge in lighting. There's a lot of useful stuff that we have for customers, whether it's a residential customer or a huge industrial shop and everything in between. Our suppliers, Westinghouse and Lithonia, specifically, are ones that I absolutely love to deal with. But that's kind of a speech for a different topic there. But I just want you to know that there's a lot available, and we've had a lot of success with a lot of different business customers. So, okay, so when customers are in the aisle, they're usually going, okay, well, I want to upgrade to LED. And I always tell folks that there's 3 different ways to upgrade to LED. The first way is to just do new fixtures. Now, that's probably the easiest, it's the most radical, but it's also the most expensive. So, first way is to just change the fixture, which we've got a ton of fixtures on the end here. What I'm going to focus on are the last 2 ways. So, the last 2 ways are to change the bulb and keep the ballast, and the third way is to change the bulb and get rid of the ballast. So now you're probably saying, well, crap, a ballast is something that belongs on a boat, not a light fixture. That's what I heard the first time I learned the word ballast. So the ballast is a driver, and we've got a whole range of them on the bottom here. The ballast is used to hook up to these old fluorescent bulbs, and it changes the voltage to them to make them actually work. If you do not have the ballast working, the whole fixture's not going to work. So when we're talking to a customer and they're looking at these bulbs, the first thing I ask them, I go, man, is one light out or both lights out? They might go, oh yeah, one's out, or if they say, oh, they both just went out. Well, odds are the bulbs didn't go out at just the right time, just the same time. Sometimes it happens in power bumps and stuff, but more than likely it's going to be the ballast. And so power surges, ballasts can wear out. You know, they can last 30 or 40 years, but they can wear out. And so that's where the conversation kind of goes into the LEDs. And you go, okay, well, great. If you have a working bulb, you just want to get a replacement. Maybe you want to be more energy efficient and you want to keep the ballast, and that's fine. The bulbs, so the ballast uses just a little bit of energy. So if you get rid of the ballast, you're a hair more efficient, but it's not significant. So if you're going to LED bulbs, that's really all that matters. So if they've got one working bulb, if we know the ballast is good, we can go ahead and say, okay, well, are you interested in going LED, saving some electricity? If one bulb is working, we know that the ballast is working, so we're good to go. They can install them and be ready to go. So that type of bulb is going to be what's called a plug and play light bulb. And what the plug and play means is no rewiring. The ballast has to be good, and the customer doesn't have to rewire anything. It's just like changing the light bulbs, and they've got LED. It operates on the different voltage that's coming out of this ballast. So that's the second way to upgrade. The third way to upgrade is to get rid of the ballast, what are called ballast bypass. Now, they also say plug and play as a type A, and they also say a type B as a ballast bypass, and I'll show you that on some packaging in a second here. But that third way, the getting rid of the ballast, it's super easy to rewire. Usually, if you can change a switch or you can change an outlet, it's not too far of a jump to do this. I've done tons of them myself, and it really isn't bad. But if someone isn't comfortable with that, it could take an electrician or a good son-in-law to go ahead and get the work done. So, you know, we want folks to be comfortable. They most likely would be up on a ladder doing that, but it means that there's one less thing going wrong with the fixture if you do take the ballast out, and it also means that it's a hair more efficient than even without it. So like I said, they can go out, and what I have seen with LEDs is someone will change them and use the type A, use the ballast, but they've been using fluorescents. So if you want to think about it, what's a good analogy here? Maybe like a racetrack, or you're driving along the interstate. You see the ruts from cars. If you look real close, usually the right hand lane, you've got the ruts. So that's where everything's been going. And then if you change from the fluorescents that they've used for even as little as 4 years, and you upgrade to LEDs, sometimes that slight change in voltage can like make the rut offset, so to speak. Hopefully that analogy makes sense. And it can actually, upgrading to LEDs can actually take out the ballast, and I've seen that happen a handful of times. It's rare, but probably 5% of the time it actually can knock the ballast out. So just want to make sure you have a heads up. I want a full education on this. There's a lot of sales and customer service we can do on lighting specifically, and just want to make sure you know all the ins and outs of that. So just to summarize, to upgrade to LED, we can do brand new fixtures, rip out the old ones, put in the new ones. We can change the bulbs and keep the ballast, and we can change the bulbs and get rid of the ballast. So going back to these ballasts, so these are super easy to read too. These look super intimidating, and it's just something you have to get used to. I'm gonna see if we can zoom in real close. All we have to do is on every single ballast, a lot of folks will bring in the old one if they have one, but on every single ballast, there is a chart on here that tells you, this one in particular says F96 T12HO, and it says 2. So that means it's for a 2 bulb, and the 96 is an 8 foot, and the T12 is the bigger round T12 fixtures, and the HO is the high output. This is probably the most complicated one to read right here. Grab another one that's a lot more common. This one, the top one is a 2, so it's a 2 bulb fixture, and it's F32 T8. So that means it's a 4 foot T8 fixture, and it will work for some others too. Every ballast is different and has the measurements on there, but with the ballast, you don't need to know what the last number was, what the cross was. None of that matters. All that matters is it a 1, 2, 3, or 4 bulb? Is it a 4 foot, or is it an 8 foot, or is it a 6 foot? There's others too. Is it circle? What's the bulb shape? But usually it's either 4 foot or 8 foot. That's 90% of them. And then the next one is T5, T8, T12, and then you usually have it right there. So just reading takes a little bit of thought on it, but it's pretty easy to figure out. So anyway, now that we've got the ballast, we can come over here a little bit, and I'd like to just go over the fixtures the bulbs in depth for replacements, to make sure that you know kind of what we're talking about. So again, we've got the fluorescents here, and with every single one of them, we're going to have a 3000 Kelvin, a 4100 Kelvin, and then the 4100 is kind of the most popular. It's just kind of in between. So we do have the 10 pack, and then we have these, pull this out so it's not hidden, the 5000K, which for businesses, whether you're doing a shop or a storage area, 5000K is what I sell folks 99% of the time. It's just the brightest, crispest white, and it works well in a house. In my house, I prefer the 3000K, but there's a lot of people that prefer the 4100 or the 5000K in their house. So it really is just preference, but for a more industrial setting, I can only think of a school that wanted to go with the 4100K instead of 5000K, but just so it wasn't quite as intense on the ice. Anyway, so we've got that, and then new with the Ace assortment is we have a 6500K, and that's going to be considered a daylight deluxe. It's a lot brighter ride, a lot more intense, and we'll see how that sells. So these are all the T12 direct replacement, plug and play. You don't have to change a ballast or anything. We have the same stuff right here on the right with the T8 version. So we've got all the different Kelvin, and then we have just the plug and play for the T8. And then let's see, we've got a few more specialty bulbs, and this is really what I wanted to go to. So there's a handful of manufacturers that are making these, and this is really cool to be part of the set. So the first thing that's really cool is you can change what color you want. It has a little chart right here on the side. Hopefully that's visible. So these two bulbs, this is a 2-pack of bulbs. It will do 3000, 4000, 5000, or 6500 Kelvin. So that's great if a customer is not sure. They can go ahead and see what they like in that space, whether it's a closet, a kitchen, a garage, whatever. And then the other thing that's really cool on this is this is considered a type A and type B. So this will work with ballast, or it will work without ballast. And so this is what a lot of the market is going to. In our exact store, actually, we went through and we changed all the bulbs to LED, and then about a month later, we had to change a couple of fixtures and rewire the bulbs to work without the ballast, because that change, it had only been 3 or 4 years, that change in the LEDs took out some ballast. And we've got a lot of fixtures in here, so 1 or 2 is not a huge deal, but to have that as an option, if a customer is not sure if their ballast is working or not, this could be a great bulb for them to go ahead and take, because it'll work with the ballast, and if it doesn't, well, they had to rewire the fixture anyway, either to put the new one in or to take the old ballast out, and so they don't have to come back for a different set of bulbs. These will work for them. So it's very cool, and I like to strongly urge customers to take this, because it saves them from buying a product, and then if something else happens with the fixture, they can still use the bulbs here rather than having to buy different ones if they only work with the ballast or without the ballast. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. We've got a few other single LEDs here that we're kind of getting rid of. We've got an LED grow light sitting here that's the case, and then we have 3-footers and 2-footers and all that stuff here. So there's different lengths, same general idea. New to the set, kind of new to us, the price has come down significantly since these were first released, but this is a 8-foot hybrid, so type A and B, works with a ballast, without a ballast, to replace a T8 or T12. So this is just folded in half so it connects in the middle once you open the box. This is going to replace this. So customers have an LED option with the 8-footers. There are some others. If a customer is buying something in bulk where they need 10 or 20 or 30 bulbs, there may be some other options available if they know specifically what they want. And of course, if someone's buying in bulk, always going to try to work with them on price, but it's really awesome to be able to have those there. Let's see, we do have 10 packs of the hybrids here, which are absolutely great, because that way the customer said either way, whether the ballast works or doesn't. I love to recommend this kit. So this kit is an LED retrofit, and we've sold this kit a lot. What's awesome about the kit is it comes with 4 bulbs, and it comes with a new bracket system and new tombstones. So the 8-foot bulbs are still a hair more expensive, and one way around that, if you have a 2-bulb 8-foot fixture that's going across, one way around that expense is to change it to a 4-bulb 4-foot fixture. So you still have the same length, you just have 4 4-foot bulbs instead of 2 8-foot bulbs. And that's what the bracket system, that's what the tombstones are here for. You just literally take self-tapping screws and screw these brackets in where they go. Very nice, easy kit. It even comes with some extra wire so that everything you need is in here except maybe a few tools. And then the customer has some inexpensive LEDs that look really nice and almost a brand new fixture essentially. So this is a really cool kit. I just want to make sure that you're aware of kind of everything that we have, all the different uses. We do have some 10 packs of some fluorescents here on the bottom, and then we have 8-foot direct replacement, 8-foot ballast bypass. Now, one thing to point out is when you go with the 2-in-1, the type A and B, you do pay a little bit more money, but you have more versatility compared with the 2 packs of the either ballast bypass or direct replacement. So just food for thought to keep in mind there. Let's see. I think you're good to come closer. I don't know, you're the director. You're telling me stuff. Right here we've got the circular LED bulbs, circular the fluorescent bulbs. We've got the U-shaped ones, and then we've got some fluorescent starters here. If someone needs a starter, they generally will ask you directly for it. They're in these little boxes here, sell them by the piece, but that's what they are. These are the little boxes for them. All the smaller bulbs, smaller T5s, some extra ends, and then we've got some tube lights. All of these bases are different for the most part here. There's a few different lighting levels within these, but generally you just want to look very closely at the bases because there's a lot of them that are very similar that might have a notch in a different spot. So just be a little weary on these. Just make sure we're paying attention so we don't have to make the customer make another trip just because we didn't take another 5 seconds. So just be aware there. Light bulb changer, we're still kind of going through some product, selling through some night lights here, so I'm not going to say that this is super clean necessarily, but we've got some whole fixture shop lights, 4-footers. We have lighting controls for exterior lights that are still big around here, and then we have motion sensors and dusk to dawn lights too, so that everybody has light when they need it, which is usually in the middle of the night when it's dark. For the rest of these, we've got all sorts of indoor and outdoor fixtures. There's a ton more on AceNet that we're able to order, but this is a really good start to what a customer is looking for, and it's awesome to have a selection so that they do have a lot of choices. I want to point out a few more things real quick. There are some huge bulbs we can get. We may as well do this on camera. So these have been really popular as yard lights in our area. A little bit more expensive, but there's some massive lights that we do carry that are out there. So if a customer is looking for something specific, just don't be afraid to reach out. There's certainly a lot available. And then a lot of folks that are using these are usually just replacing fixtures, but if they're buying new fixtures, most of the time they're going, and this is more industrial, on an industrial building, but most of the time they're going with something like a wall pack fixture that's all enclosed, that just goes in, and it's nice and clean, and looks really nice. There's a few differences, but it really depends on the customer's situation. So there's a lot of resources available. The folks at Lithonia and the Westinghouse reps with Creed and Associates are all awesome and top notch. So there's definitely a lot of support, but don't be afraid to reach out, ask for help as we get our feet wet. But hopefully that helps you be a little bit more helpful and be able to take care of customers.